Кедровник. Ранняя осень 93-го. Мальчишка бежит. За спиной треск веток. Дыхание. Чужое. Он падает в мох. Прижимает к груди кассету. Маленькую. VHS-C. На пленке люди в погонах. С карабинами. И мертвый лось. Через минуту его найдут. Через 2 начнут стрелять. А тот, кто уже ждет их за 3-й ложбиной, снимает с плеча вещмешок. И достает нож. Перемотка. 2 днями раньше. Поселок Кедровка, Красноярский край. Дом на краю улицы Лесной. Печь топится сырой сосной. Дым идет в комнату. Мать кашляет. Отчим спит на диване. На столе японская видеокамера. Panasonic. Черный корпус. Мигает красный глаз. Витька Соломин смотрит в видоискатель. Ему 14. Волосы русые, лохматые. На щеке царапина от ветки. Он снимает муху на стекле. Потом собственную ладонь. Потом печку. Пленка крутится тихо, как сверчок. Такой камеры в поселке нет ни у кого. Отчим привез ее из Владивостока, из рейса. Сказал не трогать. Витька трогает каждый день. Еще одна вспышка. Через 3 дня после леса. Кухня участкового. Тарелка борща. Ложка стоит в тарелке. Остывает. За окном милицейский УАЗик. Дверца открыта. На сиденье женская шапка. Вязаная. Красная нитка распустилась. Хозяйка шапки уже 2-е сутки не спит. Она ищет сына. Участковый ест борщ. Молча. И 3-я вспышка. Ночная тайга, костер. 2 сидят на бревнах. 1 мальчишка, у него разбита губа. 2 мужчина за 40. Куртка армейская, под курткой фляга, алюминиевая, с умятиной. Мужчина смотрит в огонь и говорит одну фразу. «Утром пойдем назад, их там 7». Мальчишка кивает, не плачет, уже не может. Но все это будет потом. А пока Кедровка. Утро, понедельник. Витька просыпается раньше матери, хватает камеру, прячет под свитер. Свитер колючий, бабушкин, пахнет нафталином. На улице -2, лужи схватились коркой. Он идет к колонке, пьет из горсти. Вода отдает железом. На заборе сидит ворона, смотрит. В Кедровке 1200 жителей. 1 магазин, 1 клуб, 1 участковый. Леспромхоз стоит с весны. Зарплату не платят с мая. Мужики пьют, бабы носят талоны в поссовет, дети растут сами. Витька растет сам с 7 лет. Отец погиб на буровой под Богучанами. Мать снова вышла замуж. Отчим моряк торгового флота. Дома бывает раз в полгода. Привозит вещи и снова уезжает. Мальчишка любит 2 вещи – лес и камеру. С лесом он на «ты» с малых лет. Знает, где брусника, где садится рябчик, где медведь оставляет след. Отец успел научить. Успел 3 раза взять его с собой в тайгу. Камеру Витька изучил за месяц. Кнопки, кассеты VHS-C, аккумулятор. Как перематывать, как выставлять дату. Сейчас дата 8 сентября. Он проверял вчера. В школу он часто опаздывает. Учительница Нина Павловна ругается в полсилы. Знает, что мать одна тянет. Отчима в счет не берет. Today Витька isn't going to school. Today is Saturday. His own kind of Saturday. Separate from the rest. That's how things are done among the boys in the settlement. Miss a day. Go into the taiga.
Nobody will ask questions. He's walking down Lesnaya Street. Past the club. Past Pachomicha's black fence. Past the well. A cat is sitting on the well. Ginger. Vitka films the cat with his camera. 30 seconds. Then he keeps going. Beyond the settlement, there's a clearing. Beyond the clearing, an old burn scar. Beyond the burn scar, a cedar grove. That's where he's heading. On the way, he meets the forest ranger. The ranger is standing by a fallen pine, cutting with a chainsaw. The druzhba roars across the whole area. A solid man, early 40s, army jacket, faded, a knife in a leather sheath on his belt. Under the jacket, a flask. Vitka noticed it back in summer. Aluminum, dented on the side. Not an ordinary one, a military one. The ranger's name is Andrei Kovalyov, a quiet man. He keeps to himself, doesn't mix with the settlement. Lives at the forest outpost beyond the 3rd stream. People rarely go to him. He goes to people even less often. Vitka isn't afraid of him. Kovalyov pulled him out of the bog at Rotting Mire back in summer. The boy had sunk up to his chest. Kovalyov was passing by. Silently hauled him out by the collar. Silently set him by the fire. Gave him a dry foot wrap. Vitka still keeps that foot wrap. Uncle Andrei. Kovalyov kills the saw. Looks at him. I'm going to the cedar grove to knock down some cones. Alone? Alone. Kovalyov nods, takes a piece of sugar from his pocket, holds it out. Vitka takes it. Don't go near Bear Spring. There's a fresh track there, okay? And don't make noise there. There are outsiders in the cedar stand today. Vitka freezes. What kind of outsiders? Kovalyov looks toward the taiga for a long time, then answers. A UAZ passed through at dawn, along the old corduroy road, plates painted over. Hunters? Hunters don't drive on a corduroy road. They go on foot. Vitka says nothing. Kovalyov puts a hand on his shoulder. Heavy. If you hear an engine, lie down. If you hear voices, get out through the low ground. Understood? Understood. Go. The saw roars again. Vitka goes on. In his sweater, the camera tucked under his heart. In his head, the word outsiders. He walks fast. An hour and a half. The clearing narrows. The road branches off toward the old bog. He turns onto the trail. He knows the trail by heart. The cedar stand begins abruptly. The pines end, the cedars begin. The trunks are smooth, thick. The crowns knit together. Below, dimness. It smells of resin, and mushrooms, and wet needles. Vitka takes off his hat, listens. Wind, a titmouse. Somewhere far away, tapping. A woodpecker. And one more sound. Distant. Not a forest sound. An engine. He drops behind a fallen log. His heart is pounding. He takes out the camera, switches it on. The red light blinks. A UAZ rolls out from beyond the rise. Green, muddy, plates smeared with clay. At the wheel, a man in camouflage. Beside him, a second. In the back seat, a third. All three in uniform. No collar tabs, no patches, just uniforms. As if they'd torn off everything that could tell a story. The UAZ stops about 70 meters away. Vitka lies behind the log, not breathing. The doors open. The men get out. They take carbines out of their cases. SKS rifles. Vitka recognizes them. His father had one like that. One of them takes out binoculars, looks to the right, into the marsh. See anything? I do. A cow with a calf. By the second salt lick. Quiet, let's go. The voices are low, calm. Not punk poachers, professionals. Vitka raises the camera, aims. The red light is recording. He films the UAZ. The license plates are smeared over. Close up. He films the faces. 3 of them. One turns around. Vitka holds the camera on him for a second. A round face, mustache, a mole above the lip. The boy doesn't know it yet, but later he'll recognize that face. District Officer Khomutov, from the neighboring district. The 3 of them head off into the marsh, quietly, skillfully. That's not how punks move. Vitka lies there for 10 minutes, 15. Then he crawls back, 100 meters or so, gets up, walks low, the way Kovalyov taught him, the way his father taught him. He thinks he's gotten away. He thinks, now home. The tape, into the VCR. Show his mother. Or straight to the club. Or to Kovalyov. He thinks about Kovalyov. About his words. If you hear voices, leave by the low ground. And then, a shot. 1. Deep and booming. Then a second. Then a third. The finishing shot. Vitka stops. Freezes. He knows that sound. That's how they shoot at big game. At a moose. He should leave. He knows that. But in his pocket, the camera. With the red light. With the VHS-C cassette. With the smeared UAZ plates. With 3 faces without insignia. And the boy does the one thing he should never have done. He turns back. Toward the marsh. Toward the shots. He wants to keep filming. He sneaks for about 20 minutes, moss up to his knees, circles around downwind, lies down behind an uprooted tree, raises the camera. Through the viewfinder, he sees them, the 3 of them. The moose cow is lying on her side. The calf is next to her, still breathing. One of the 3 walks up and shoots the calf in the head with a pistol. APM. Vitka sees the flash. The red light records everything. and at that moment, a twig cracks under the boy's foot. Dry, loud, like a gunshot. The three of them freeze. All three turn their heads at the same time, like wolves. There's someone there. Check it out. One of them yanks the carbine off his shoulder. Witька lowers the camera, presses it to his chest, crawls backward behind the uprooted tree. His sweater snags on a root. Crack. Even louder now. There he is! A kid! A voice from behind. Close. Witька jumps up and runs. He runs through the moss, through the deadfall, through branches slapping his face.
Behind him, pounding footsteps. Heavy, adult. He falls, gets up, clutches the camera, doesn't let go of the cassette, not for a second. The wind whistles in his ears. His heart is in his throat. Ahead, a gully. He dives into it head first, rolls down, lands in the moss, freezes, breathing. His own, someone else's. And one more, farther away, more even. He doesn't know yet that this third breathing is not a poacher's. He doesn't know that beyond the third gully, about 100 meters away, there is a man standing there with a flask under his jacket, with a dent from shrapnel under panchir. That this man has already slipped his duffel bag off his shoulder, that he has already heard the shots and the shouts and understood everything in a second. The boy is lying in the moss, clutching a cassette to his chest, a small one, VHSC. And now, if the story grabs you from the very first minutes, if you want to know how the hunt for a teenager in the taiga of 1993 ends, subscribe to the channel. What comes next is something the village of Kedrovka will never forget. Witька closes his eyes, his footsteps getting closer, counts them. 5, 4, 3. The cassette is in his fist. His fingers are white. He still doesn't know that he is no longer alone. Rewind. 2 weeks earlier. Late August 1993. Kedrovka. Lesnaya Street. House number 8. Witька is sitting on the porch. Barefoot. The boards are warm. The sun is setting behind the hill. The sky is pink. Smoke from the chimneys drifts sideways, toward the river. His mother is milking the cow in the shed. You can hear the pail ringing. The cow's name is Maika. Maika is in her 12th year. She gives little milk. They feel sorry to slaughter her. They keep her for the sake of the child. His stepfather is away on a haul. Already the 4th month. He writes rarely, sends money transfers. The transfers arrive with a month's delay. They are used to it. Witьka gnaws on a rusk. The rusk is stale. Bread is delivered to the store once every 3 days. People queue from 6 in the morning. His mother didn't get up yesterday. She had a headache. Today they are eating yesterday's. The village of Kedrovka stands on the Chernaya River. 200 old households. There used to be the Zarya State Farm. They kept cows, pigs, sheep. They had their own sawmill, their own club, their own kindergarten. Used to. The state farm fell apart in 1991. The machinery was picked clean in half a year. The pigs were slaughtered by the spring of 1992. The club was locked up. The lock was torn off by the boys. Inside they light fires and sniff glue. The timber enterprise held on a little longer, until this spring. In May, it stopped. The director left for Krasnoyarsk. He never came back. Wages were delayed, then delayed again. Then they stopped saying when they would be paid. At first, the men drank. Then they stopped drinking. There was nothing to buy it with. They began slaughtering livestock. They began selling everything. Motorcycles, tools, sewing machines, their parents' medals, to the scrap metal depot in the district center. The women started going into the forest, for mushrooms, for berries, for pine nuts. They sold the nuts to procurement buyers. The buyers paid pennies. Those pennies went toward flour. Witьka sees all of this. He is 14. He doesn't know the word depression. He sees something else. He sees how their neighbor, Uncle Tolya, stands by the fence every evening, stares at one spot, smokes, says nothing.
Uncle Tolya used to work as a foreman, hauled timber in a Ural truck. The Ural stands in the yard without wheels. The wheels were sold in June. His mother comes out of the shed, sets the milk pail on the porch, sits down beside Witька.
She smells of milk and sweat. Ready for school? Ready. Do you have notebooks? One left from last year. I'll buy some from Grandma's pension. Witька is silent. Grandma's pension is 12,000. The whole family lives on it for 2 months. Mom? What? I'm going to the ranger, to Kovalyov. What for? He asked me to come, to learn tracks. His mother looks at him for a long time, then nods. Go. He's a real man. She gets up, goes into the house. Witька remains alone. He hears the neighbor's dog barking beyond the vegetable gardens. He hears a child crying in someone's yard. He hears a train humming far, far away. The train passes by. There is no station in Kedrovka. In the morning he gets ready, slowly. He puts a can of stewed meat into his backpack. The can is old, with a Soviet label. Beef, top grade, Tula processing plant, one of the last ones. His mother had been saving them for winter. Witька stole it. Not stole, took it. He knows. If he asks, his mother would allow it. But it's better not to ask. Easier to explain later. Kovalyov's ranger post is beyond the third stream, about an hour on foot. The path is good, Witька knows it. He leaves at 6 in the morning. Dew, cold, his breath steams. He walks through the gardens, through an alder thicket, across the little bridge by the beaver's dam. The water is dark, it smells of silt. Beyond the third stream is a clearing cut through the forest. Beyond the clearing is a small glade. In the glade there's a hut, 5-walled, blackened by time. The roof is metal, painted with red lead. Smoke rises from the chimney. So he's home. In the yard there's a chopping block. By the block stands Kovalyov, bare to the waist. On his back is a tattoo. Witька has seen it only once before. A parachute canopy. Across the canopy is an inscription. VDV. Kandahar, 85 to 87. Kovalyov is chopping wood. The axe rises, falls. The log splits in two. Kovalyov sets the next one. He works in silence, evenly, like breathing. Witька comes up, stops by the gate, waits. Kovalyov doesn't notice him at once, or pretends not to. Finally, he drives the axe into the block, turns around. You came? I came. Come in. Witьka goes in, puts the backpack on the bench, takes out the can of stew, holds it out. This is for you. Kovalyov looks at the can for a long time, then shakes his head. Put it away. Take it. Put it away, I said. Witьka lowers his hand. I wanted to, for teaching me. I'm not teaching you for a can. I am because I can see. What do you see? That you're not rotten, and that you don't have a father. Witьka is silent, looks at the ground. Kovalyov takes the can, puts it on the bench, next to the backpack. You'll take it back to your mother. Tell her the forester gave it back. Yeah. Come on, wash up. We'll have breakfast. They go into the hut. Inside there's a stove, a table, a bench. A shelf with books. Witьka manages to make them out. A manual, a medical handbook, Turgenev, and a small matte red one, the Odyssey. On the table there's a cast iron pot with potatoes, bread, and a flask. Aluminium, round. On the side, a dent, like the mark of someone else's finger, only deeper. Witьka looks at the flask. Kovalyov notices. Panjshir, 86. What's that? A valley in Afghanistan. Our convoy was shot up there. A fragment went into my stomach. The flask saved me. Witьka looks closely. At the dent, the metal is darker, as if scorched. And the fragment's still there? They took the fragment out, in the hospital, Kabul. I threw it into an irrigation ditch. But you kept the flask? I kept the flask. Kovalyov sits down, pours Witьka some tea, strong, with lingonberry leaf. Eat. They eat in silence. The potatoes are hot. The bread is a little sour.
Witьka tries not to smack his lips. Kovalyov doesn't look at him. He looks out the window. Outside the window is the taiga. See there, fear. The sky broken by gaps in the clouds. Uncle Andrei? Yeah. Were you really a paratrooper? I was. And did you kill people? Kovalyov doesn't answer right away. He sets down his mug, looks at Witьka, straight at him, for a long time. Yes, I killed. A lot? I stopped counting in '86. Witьka lowers his eyes. And what's it like? It's nothing like anything. You're alive, he's dead. An hour later, there's another operation. You remember only the ones you weren't supposed to kill. Were there many like that? Few. But you remember them every evening. They fall silent. In the corner, a clock can be heard ticking. It is old. It strikes the hour. Its hands move slowly. Let's go, says Kovalyov. We'll head into the forest. I'll show you tracks. They go out into the yard. Kovalyov puts on his jacket. The flask goes under the jacket, on his belt. Witьka notices the flask is always with him, like a cross, like a magazine. They walk across the clearing, into the pine woods. Kovalyov goes first. Witьka steps exactly in his tracks. Kovalyov raises a hand, stops. Look. Witьka looks. On the moss is an indentation. Small, round. What's that? Roe deer. Passed through at night. The hoof is small, sharp. And if it were a moose? The hoof is bigger. The pit is deeper. More split. And a person? You'll always recognize a person. A person walks unevenly. An animal moves evenly. An animal protects itself. Witьka memorizes it. Kovalyov shows him a second track. A third. Hare, sable, bear. Old, about a week. Witьka crouches over each one, touches them with his fingers. Kovalyov doesn't rush him. By midday, they have walked about 6 kilometers. Witьka is tired, but he doesn't show it. Kovalyov sees everything, but says nothing. On the way back, they sit on a fallen pine. Kovalyov takes out the flask, unscrews the cap, drinks, holds it out to Witьka. Water? Water, from rotten spring. Sour, Witьka drinks. The water really is sour. It tastes of iron, like from the pump in the settlement, only cleaner. Uncle Andrei? Yeah? They say in the settlement you don't love anybody. They say a lot of things in the settlement. Is it true? Kovalyov looks into the distance, at the treetops, at the sky between them. I do. The taiga, my mother in Kansk, and one person who's gone now. Witьka doesn't ask who. He understands. He mustn't. Kovalyov screws the cap back on, hides the flask under his jacket. Let's head back. By evening it'll rain. They walk. The sky really is growing darker. A cloud crawls in from the west, heavy, blue. It smells of rain and wet pine needles. By the forest outpost, Kovalyov stops. Witьka? Huh? If anything happens in the forest, don't run home. Run to me. We'll get you mother afterward. Understand? Understood. But what could happen? Kovalyov looks at him for a long time. There is something strange in his gaze. As if he already knows. In the forest, anything can happen, especially now. What do you mean, now? Now, when everything is falling apart. When there is no order. When everyone takes what he can. Witьka is silent. He is 14. He doesn't understand everything. But he feels that Kovalyov is telling the truth. He takes the backpack, a can of stewed meat, heads home. Along the same path, over the same little bridge, through the same alder thicket. At home, his mother looks at the can, says nothing. He gave it back. I know. How do you know? That's the kind of man he is. Witьka puts the can on the shelf, with the others. There were only 5 in all. That night he lies on the stove, listening to the rain on the roof, thinking about Kovalyov, about the flask, about the dent. And he falls asleep with one thought. Now he has someone, other than his mother, other than his dead father. A man with a military flask under his jacket, who isn't afraid of the taiga, and isn't afraid of silence. Let's go back to that day, September 8th, the cedar grove beyond the old burn. Witька is lying behind an uprooted tree, breathing every other time. Through the lens he sees 3 men, a cow moose on her side, a calf beside her. One of the men in uniform walks up and shoots the calf in the head with a pistol, a Makarov. Flash, a dull thump. The red eye of the camera records everything. The men lower their rifles. One takes a gun off his shoulder, short, black. Witька recognizes it, an AKS-74U. His stepfather had shown him one in a Technika Molodieji magazine. Should we butcher it here? No, we'll drag it to the UAZ. It's wet here. Cut out the liver right away. We'll take the liver separately. Their voices are even, calm, like in a workshop. One of the 3 turns around. Witька sees his face, round, mustache, a mole above the lip. And right then something clicks inside the boy. He knows that face. Saw it this summer, in the district center. By the village council building, in uniform, with a red armband, Khomutov, the district police officer from the neighboring district. The boy holds the camera on him for a second, 2, records the face in close-up. Khomutov says to the 3rd man, "Kostil, bring the sex, from the trunk." "On it." Kostil walks to the UAZ, limping on the right leg. That's where the nickname comes from. Witька had heard of a man like that. People talked about him while standing in line at the store. Some ex-convict. Got himself attached to the district officer as an auxiliary. And then the boy thinks. Not about the camera, not about the tape. About one phrase. The one Kovalyov tossed out that morning. If you hear voices, go out through the low ground. Witьka lowers the camera, presses it to his chest, crawls backward behind the uprooted tree. His sweater snags on a root. Crack. A dry twig under his knee. Snap. "There's someone there." Khomutov's voice. Instantly businesslike. No panic. "Check it. Kostil, the gun." Witьka jumps up, the tape into his pants pocket, the camera inside his jacket, and runs. He runs through moss, through deadfall, through branches whipping his face. His back is wet. In his ears, his own pounding. Behind him, footsteps, heavy, adult. "Stop, you little bastard!" Kostil's voice. Closer than Witьka thought. The boy dives into a hollow, slides down, lands in the moss, freezes. His own breathing, someone else's breathing. And somewhere farther on, another one, more even, calmer. He doesn't hear it, can't hear it. But someone is standing beyond the 3rd hollow, has already taken off his army sack, has already pulled out a knife. Witька doesn't know that. He jumps up and runs on. Русло, высохший ручей, камни. Витька прыгает в него, под ногами гремит галька. Плохо, но по руслу быстрее. Он бежит, голени жжет. Кроссовки, китайские, дырявые, черпают воду из луж. Он бежит. Позади треск. Далеко, ближе, дальше. За спиной короткая очередь. 3 выстрела. АКСУ. Пули уходят вверх, в кроны деревьев. Кто-то кричит. «Не стреляй, дурак! Патроны на учете!» Голос Хомутова, злой. «Живым, живым брать! Пацан все на кассету снял, понял?» «Понял». Витька слышит все, каждое слово, каждый вздох. Живым. Значит, знают, значит, видели камеру. Он бежит по руслу. Километр, может больше. Ноги горят, дыхание разрывает грудь. За поворотом большой валун. Он ныряет за него, замирает, слушает. Позади тишина. Потом где-то очень далеко треск. Потом снова тишина. Он идет дальше, уже медленнее, пригибаясь. Русло уводит в старый ольшаник, темный, мокрый, комары стеной. Кусают шею, уши, руки. Он их не отгоняет, не до того. Еще километр. Ольшаник кончается. Начинается Пихтыч. Пахнет смолой и грибами. Витька останавливается, кладет руку на грудь. Камера на месте, кассета в кармане.
Он проверяет пальцами. Пластик теплый, от тела. Он поднимает голову, смотрит на небо. Солнце уже низко, значит часа 3, может 4. До кордона Ковалева километров 5. По прямой меньше, но по прямой через Кедровник. Через них он идет в обход. Через болото гнилое, через гнилую марь, ту самую, где Ковалев летом вытащил его за шиворот. Трясина, по колено, а местами и по пояс. Он идет по кочкам. Вспоминает, где твердо, где мягко. Вспоминает все, что показывал отец, все, что показывал Ковалев. На середине мари он проваливается, по грудь. Вскидывает камеру над головой, кассету зажимает в зубах. Через полминуты выбирается. Одежда в тени, в волосах ряска, лицо в грязи, над бровью кровь. Ветка содрала кожу. Он идет дальше, идет долго. К кордону выходит уже в сумерках. Небо сизое, появляются первые звезды. Собака во дворе тявкает один раз и замолкает. Витька останавливается у калитки, хочет крикнуть, не может. Горло сухое, будто песка наглотался. Из избы выходит Ковалев. В руках фонарь. Летучая мышь, керосиновый. Ковалев поднимает фонарь, смотрит. «Иди сюда». Витька идет. Ноги не слушаются. Спотыкается на пороге. Ковалев молча подхватывает его за локоть, ведет в избу. Сажает на лавку. У печки. Смотрит. Ковалев смотрит 10 секунд. Молча. На разбитую бровь. На тину в волосах. На тряпье вместо свитера. На то, как мальчишка держит руку у груди. «Показывай». Витька достает камеру. Ковалев берет ее. Крутит в руках. Понимает. Цела. Кладет на стол. Кассету. Витька достает ее из кармана. Пластик поцарапан. Уголок отколот. Но цела. Ковалев берет кассету. Держит в ладони. Молчит. 10 секунд. All this time, you can hear the clock ticking in the corner. How a damp log crackles in the stove. How the fur rustles outside the window. The boy waits. Stares at the floor. Ковалев puts the cassette on the table, next to the camera. Who did you film? 3 of them. In uniform? In uniform. Shoulder boards? No, removed. You is it? You is it. The plates were smeared with mud. Ковалев sits down opposite him, elbows on his knees, looks at the floor, then raises his eyes.
Did you hear voices? I did. Whose? Vitka is silent, then speaks quietly. Khomutov, the local police officer from the neighboring district. Kovalyov isn't surprised, doesn't ask again, as if he expected it. And Kostil too, with him. I know Kostil. He runs errands for Khomutov. Got out of prison a year ago. He had an automatic, short, black. A KSU, service weapon, police issue. Those aren't supposed to be wandering around the forest. They fall silent. The stove crackles. Vitka is trembling, not from the cold, from the release. Kovalyov stands up, takes a kettle from the shelf, puts it on the stove. Take your wet things off. Put everything on the stove. Uncle Andrei. Yeah? What happens now? Kovalyov doesn't turn around, looks at the fire under the stove. What has to happen? And what has to happen? You brought the cassette. That means they'll come for it. Here? First to your mother, then here. Vitka freezes. Mother. He hadn't thought about his mother. Not once in all these hours. Mom, I know. I'm already thinking.
Kovalyov pulls an old bag out from under the bench, a military duffel, unfastens it. Vitka sees inside something wrapped in oiled cloth. Dark. Heavy. Kovalyov doesn't show it, snaps the bag shut, sets it by the door. We leave in the morning. We'll take your mother, hide her with people.
With whom?
With people. He explains no further. Vitka doesn't ask either. Kovalyov sits down opposite him, puts 2 mugs on the table, pours tea. Into one of them, from a flask, his own, aluminum, dented, splashes in something. A little. A normal amount for an adult, a finger for the boy. Drink. Vitka drinks. It burns his throat. He coughs. Kovalyov watches calmly. For shock. Once in a lifetime, it's allowed. The boy sets the mug down, looks at the flask, at the dent.
Uncle Andrei.
Yeah?
Are you afraid?
Kovalyov takes the flask, screws the cap on, hides it under his jacket. I am.
I'm always afraid. Anyone who isn't afraid is either a fool or dead. Then how do you? Simple. You're afraid. And you do it anyway. One doesn't stop the other. They are silent. Outside, night. The taiga breathes. The wind comes down from the hill. Somewhere far away, an eagle owl hoots. And here's what we know at this moment. A boy, Witька Solomin, from the settlement of Kedrovka, filmed poachers in uniform with a Japanese camera. Among them the local police officer, Chomutov, from the neighboring district. He got away alive and reached the forester, Kovalyov, a former paratrooper. But so far nobody can explain one thing. Why the local police officer from the neighboring district is taking down a moose in this cedar forest, the kind of place where locals have no rank to be, and outsiders no map to find. Kovalyov puts out the lantern, leaves only the stove. Витька заснул на лавке, в отцовском свитере, который дал ему Ковалев, сухом, колючем, пахнущим табаком и чужим потом. Ковалев не спит, сидит у окна.
С флягой на коленях, смотрит в темноту и слушает тайгу. Утро, еще до рассвета. Ковалев будет Витьку, положив руку ему на плечо. Ладонь тяжелая, мозолистая. «Вставай». Витька садится, сначала не понимает, где он, потом вспоминает. Все. Ковалев уже одет, на нем армейская куртка, кирзовые сапоги, через плечо вещмешок, за спиной что-то длинное, завернутое в брезент. Витька смотрит. ИЖ-17, обрез, еще от отца остался. А зачем? На всякий случай. Больше он ничего не говорит, ставит на стол кружку чая, кусок хлеба. Витька молча пьет, хлеб в горло не лезет. Мать дома одна? Одна, отчим в рейсе. Собак нет? Нет. Хорошо. Ковалев берет со стола камеру, крутит ее в руках, открывает крышку кассетоприемника, достает кассету, кладет ее на стол. Достает из кармана хирургическое лезвие, плоское, блестящее, с обломанной рукояткой. «Смотри, один раз показываю». Витька смотрит. Ковалев открывает кассету сбоку, осторожно, медленно тянет пленку пальцами. Она тонкая, как папиросная бумага. Режет ровно, посередине. Одну половину сматывает обратно в корпус кассеты, защелкивает крышку, кладет в карман куртки. Вторую половину сворачивает в трубочку, кладет в пустой коробок от Беломора. Коробок в целлофан. Целлофан в другую коробочку. Подходит к углу, поднимает половицу, ту, что у печки. Под половицей ямка, высланная берестой, сухая. Кладет туда коробочку, сверху тряпку. Опускает половицу, притаптывает ногой, смотрит на Витьку. Запомни эту доску, 5-я от печки, с сучком у самого края. Запомнил. Если со мной что-нибудь случится, придешь, достанешь, отвезешь в Красноярск. К Ксении Николаевне Вернер, Ленина, 16, 2-й этаж. А кто она? Журналистка из Красноярского рабочего. Дочь моего командира. Она поймет. Витька повторяет про себя. Ленина, 16, 2-й этаж. Ксения Николаевна. Ковалев поднимает вторую половину пленки, ту, что в кассете, прячет ее в подкладку куртки, за нагрудным карманом. Пришивает суровой ниткой, быстро, крупными стежками. Эту повезу в райцентр. Копия остается у нас. Оригинал у меня. Так спокойнее. Витька кивает. Пошли, к матери. Выходят во двор. Собака не лает, своих знает. Небо серое, в низинах туман. Лес молчит. Кедрач стоит черной стеной. Идут через марь. И вот тут то самое. То, что мальчишка запомнит на всю жизнь. Ковалев идет впереди, метров на 10. Туман поднимается ему до пояса. Куртка черная, плечи широкие. Через плечо брезент с обрезом. Голова опущена, смотрит под ноги, читает след. Он не оборачивается, не проверяет, идет ли за ним пацан. Он и так знает, идет. Витька видит эту фигуру, темную, молчаливую, стоящую по пояс в белом. И в этот момент он понимает одно, раньше, чем сам ожидал. Тот, кто не боится тайги, это человек, которого боятся другие. Идут они долго, час, полтора, в обход дороги, через ельник, через ручей. К поселку выходят с северной стороны, через огород Пахомихи, через баню, через дровяник соломенных. Ковалев останавливается за поленницей, ставит Витьку к стене. «Стой, не высовывайся». Идет к дому, обходит с торца, заглядывает в окно, возвращается, лицо серое. «Что?» «Дома пусто, печь холодная, со вчерашнего дня не топили». Витька рвется вперед. Ковалев хватает его за локоть. Тихо, со мной, смотри под ноги. Идут к крыльцу, и Витька видит. На верхней ступеньке шапка, материна, серая, пуховая, та самая, что она носит еще с прошлой осени. Шапка лежит аккуратно, будто ее положили, не бросили. Мать никогда не оставляет шапку на крыльце. Витька замирает. Ковалев берет шапку, держит в руках, смотрит. Пошла в милицию. Откуда знаете? Знаю. Ты ночью не пришел, вот и пошла. Кому ей еще идти? У мальчишки внутри что-то обрывается. Он видит мать, как она собирается, в темноте, на ощупь, как надевает эту шапку, как снимает с гвоздя платок, как идет по лесной улице к сельсовету. Одна, в 4 утра, мимо собак, сквозь темноту, сквозь собственный страх. С одной единственной мыслью. Сын не вернулся. И как в сельсовете дежурит участковый, тот самый, Хомутов, после вчерашней охоты, с кровью лосенка на сапогах. Любая мать где угодно узнает эту дорогу. Одна, в темноте, с шапкой в руках, к людям, которые обязаны помочь, и которые не помогут. Ковалев кладет шапку обратно, на ступеньку. Пусть лежит, как лежала, не оставляй следов. Витька шепчет. Она у Хомутова. Знаю. Это он ее. Не факт. Ему нужен пацан, нужна кассета, мать – рычаг, пока не тронет. А потом… Ковалев не отвечает. Идут во двор. Ковалев поддевает половицу у порога, достает жестянку из-под чая, открывает. Внутри пачка денег, небольшая. Витька узнает. Материн загашник. На черный день. Возьми. Витька мотает головой. Возьми, я сказал. Мать вернем. Сама спасибо скажет. Витька берет, прячет за пазуху. Ковалев быстро осматривает дом снаружи, заглядывает в стайку. Майка негромко мучит, недоена. Попросим похомиху. Ковалев идет через огород, стучит в окно соседки. Быстро, коротко. Голоса Витька не слышит. Слышит только, как старуха ахнула. Один раз. Возвращается. Корову подоит. Скажет, что мы уехали в райцентр. К родне. Оба. А кто поверит? Кто поверит, тот и есть враг. Кто не поверит, тот друг. Так и разберемся. Уходят. Тем же путем. Через дровяник. Через баню. Через огород похомихи. На околице Ковалев останавливается. Достает из кармана рацию. Маленькую. Военную. Витька такой раньше не видел. Ковалев щелкает тумблером, ищет частоту. Ты откуда ее взял? Из тайги, оттуда же, откуда и все остальное. Крутит верньер. Треск, треск. И вдруг голоса. Живые. Приняли. Барин ждет до полудня. Got it. The mother's there. The boy went into the woods. We search. Report to the master. I will. A crackle. Hissing. Silence. Ковалев switches off the radio. Hides it. You heard. I heard. Who's this master? Ковалев stays silent for a long time, looks toward the taiga, then answers quietly. The master is the one above Хомутов. The one who pays for the UAZ, for the cartridges, for the village council's silence. From the police? No, from the kind who command the police, not by charter, by wallet. And the name? No name yet, just a nickname. Master. That means heirs. That means money. That means men. Vitka looks at the ground. My mother's with him. With Chomutov. And Chomutov's with the master. One hand away. They fall silent. They walk along the edge of the field, then beyond the village outskirts, to the old road, the one that leads to the district center, through the forest, across the corduroy road, across 2 fords. Kovalyov walks fast, doesn't look back. Vitka follows him, drags his feet, sleeps while walking. By noon, they reach a hideout. Kovalyov hides Vitka in an old hunter's hut, abandoned, on the muddy river. 3 hours' walk from Kedrovka. The hut is small, 1 little stove, 1 bunk, a window the size of a palm. Sit here, don't go out, don't light the stove until dark. They'll see the smoke. And where are you going? To the district center, with the tape, to the right man, not to the cops. To whom? To the prosecutor. There's one, not a local, came from Moscow recently. And if he's with the master too? Kovalyov looks at the boy for a long time. Then we'll be the first to know. He puts a can of stew on the bunk, a flask of water, a piece of bread. On top, a sawed-off shotgun wrapped in canvas. You know how to shoot? Father taught me, with a small-bore rifle. This isn't a small bore.
You cock the hammer with both hands. Hold it tight. Into the shoulder, not into the chest. Understood? Understood. You won't need it, but let it be here. Kovalyov walks to the door, turns around at the threshold. Vitka, huh? We'll get your mother out, I promise. Vitka nods. He can't answer. His throat is tight. Kovalyov goes out. The door closes. You can hear footsteps on pine needles, then silence. Vitka is left alone, in the little hut.
With the sewed off, with the stew, with the flask.
He lies down on the bunk, doesn't sleep. Looks at the ceiling, at a knot in the wood that looks like an eye. He thinks about his mother, about the hat on the porch, about how Kovalyov cut the film, cleanly, right through the middle, and about the figure in the fog. Kovalyov reaches the district center by evening, goes to the prosecutor's office, waits in the shadow behind the corner until the man he came for walks out. He doesn't know one thing yet, that the tape hidden under the floorboard in the winter hut is already being searched for by a man Barin didn't mention over the radio with a single word. But what comes next is the strangest part. District center, the urban-type settlement of Nizhny. Kovalyov arrives by 7 in the evening. The sky is grey. The streets are empty. The canteen is closed. The shop is closed. Only by the village store, 3 men with a quarter-liter bottle. They watch the passer-by, in silence.
Kovalyov goes to the prosecutor's office. A brick building, 1 story, light in 2 windows. He doesn't go in, stands around the corner, watches. A man comes out of the entrance, in a raincoat, carrying a folder. Young, about 30. An unfamiliar face, not local. Kovalyov waits, watches where he'll go. The man heads toward the dormitory, across the yard, and then, right beside Kovalyov, a hand on his shoulder. Andrei Kovalyov? The voice is calm, the intonation familiar. Police. Kovalyov doesn't turn around at once. First, he counts. Around the corner, 1. Across the street, a UAZ van. 2. By the lamppost, 2 more, in plain clothes. 3. And 4. He turns. In front of him, a senior lieutenant, in uniform, his holster unfastened. Come with us. What is this about? The district chief wants to see you. Comrade Pakhomov. Comrade Pakhomov? What is this about? He'll explain. Kovalyov stands there, watching. He can't drag this out. If he makes noise, they'll arrest him by force. In a search, they'll find the cassette. If they find it, that's the end. He goes with them, on his own feet. On the way he thinks, his mind works the way it did in Kandahar. Cold, even. The cassette is behind the lining. Bad. If they search him, they'll take it. He slows his step. By the lamppost, he bends down, as if to tie a shoelace. With his fingers, he pulls the thread. Quickly. The cellophane bundle drops to the ground, with his foot into a crack under the fence, right by the post. The senior lieutenant notices his bent back. What's that? Shoelace. Move it. Kovalyov straightens up, walks on. He no longer has the cassette. District police station, the chief's office. Behind the desk, Pakhomov, 48 years old, big man, bald patch across the top of his head, tunic buttoned up. On the wall, Gorbachev, another Gorbachev. No one had taken them down. Sit down, Andrei. Kovalyov sits. Places his hands on his knees, not on the desk. What is this about? It's about the boy. What boy? Viktor Solomin, 14 years old, from Kedrovka. Went missing yesterday. His mother filed a report. Kovalyov is silent, looks him in the face. And what does that have to do with me? Well, this. According to rumors, he was often at your place, and yesterday you were seen with him by Pachomicha's woodshed. Kovalyov isn't surprised. Pachomicha, or someone through her, or the UAZ that had been standing by the road out. So, they already knew. They didn't see me. They did.
Who? Operational information. Information isn't a witness. Pahomov looks at him for a long time. Then he picks up the receiver. City phone, black, rotary dial. He dials. 3 digits. 8. Something else. Kovalyov remembers the first one. 8, long distance. So, the regional center. Ringing. He waits. Hello? Pahomov speaking. Yes, the very one. He's here with me. Yes.
Keeping quiet. Understood. Understood. I'll hold him until morning. Right. Goodbye. He hangs up, looks at Kovalyov. You'll have to spend the night with us, Andrei. On what grounds? Under suspicion of concealing a minor and aiding his escape. The article? We'll find one. We've got the night to do it. Silence. Hand over your weapon. I'm not booking the son off on the spot. Neighborly. We'll write it off to something else. Neighborly. Pahomov comes over, takes the son off, unloads it. Kovalyov watches. He watches and thinks only one thing. Pahomov. The father-in-law. Which one? The mustached one with the mole? No. The mustached one is Khomutov. His father-in-law is in Kansk. So, the other one. The young one. The one holding the automatic. Kostilia? No. Kostil is a thug. So, the third one. The one who shot the calf in the head. The one with the birthmark on his cheekbone. Like a wild strawberry. Kovalyov saw him once by the village store. With Pahomov. Father-in-law and son-in-law. Everything fits. The silence drags on. Pahomov takes out a papyrosa, smokes. The smoke drifts towards the lamp. Andrei, you're a man. You've been through Afghanistan. You know life isn't fair. But that's how it is. I know. Your boy, he went into the forest where he shouldn't have. Saw what he shouldn't have. You understand? I understand. Hand over the boy and the film, and go on living like you lived before. Your outpost, your forest, nobody will touch you. On the contrary, we'll throw in extra rations, bring firewood, sugar. You're a good man. Why do you need this? Kovalyov stares at the wall, at Gorbachev, at the fly stain above the general secretary's shoulder. Pahomov sits opposite, smoking. Outside the window, darkness. Outside the window, the taiga. Mother in Kedrovka, in the basement of the village council. The boy in the hut on the Mutnaya. Alone, with the sawed-off shotgun he no longer has. And here is the thing, remembered by everyone who has ever in their life gone to a man in uniform for the truth. You come, you speak, and they explain to you that truth has the wrong address. That the man obliged to protect is protecting someone else. That the law is a sheet of paper, and the one who signs the paper is the one who pays. And you must not argue. You must submit. You must simply leave, and live as you lived before. Everyone in this country knows this feeling. When you stand at the little service window and understand the window was closed before you even opened your mouth. Kovalyov raises his eyes. And if I don't hand him over? Pahomov shrugs. Then the boy's mother will leave this district department not on her own feet. And your forest outpost will burn down. By accident. With all its contents. Silence. Viktor Nikolaevich himself will want to speak to you. You understand who that is? I don't. Viktor Nikolaevich Barin. Director of the hunting enterprise Taiga Plus. An honored man. A deputy of the regional council. I know that enterprise, beyond the Third Ridge. And he bought our hunting grounds in May, through a tender. Through a tender. Through a tender. Pahomov smiles, thinly, not with his eyes. So the moose are his now. And the cedar forest, his. And the matter, his.
And the boy's mother? And the boy's mother is in the basement. For now, in the basement. Until Viktor Nikolaevich decides. Kovalyov stands up. I'll go to the cell. You will. We'll talk more in the morning. They lead him away. The cell is small, 2 by 3 meters. Bunk, bucket, a bulb under the ceiling covered by a wire cage. Dim. Kovalyov sits on the bunk, back against the wall, looking at the bulb. Counting. He is counting how much time Vitya has, how much his mother has, how much he himself has. By his reckoning, exactly until morning. In the morning, they will release him. Or they won't. If they do, it means they found the cassette under the fence and decided the matter was closed. If they don't, it means they are still searching. And then, there's no time at all. He lies down, does not sleep, listens. За стеной храп дежурного. За окном редкий собачий лай. Потом тишина. Под утро шаги, мягкие. Обувь неформенная, ботинки. В двери открывается кормушка. Голос. «Ковалев, ну? Ты меня не знаешь. Я из области. Приехал по просьбе Виктора Николаевича. Хочу на тебя посмотреть». Пауза. «Посмотрел. Годится. Спи». Кормушка закрывается. Шаги уходят. Ковалев лежит, смотрит в потолок. Человек в сером. Из области. Не в форме. Не причине. По просьбе Виктора Николаевича. Значит, контора. Или бывшая контора. Уже 5 лет как переименованная. Люди те же, кабинеты те же, замки те же. Он понял это еще вчера, когда услышал по рации «Барин ждет до полудня». Так ждать может только тот, у кого свои часы, свои поезда, свои дороги. Утро. Открывают. Возвращают куртку. Обрез. Вещмешок. Все аккуратно. Пуговицы застегнуты, как были. Свободен. Так просто. Заявление матери переоформили. Пацан нашелся. Сбежал к бабке в Артемовск. С ней связались. Все нормально. Мать ушла домой. Ковалев берет куртку. Ощупывает подкладку. Быстро. Незаметно. Кассеты нет. Куртка вернулась без пленки. Значит, обыскивали. Значит, нашли. Значит, знает. Он выходит на крыльцо. Утро серое. Мелкий дождь. УАЗика через дорогу нет. Все чисто. Он идет по улице. Медленно. Кровь стучит в висках. За углом тот самый подъезд, у которого он бросил сверток. Ковалев нагибается, проводит рукой по щели под забором. Пусто. Кто-то забрал. Кто? Понятно. Он идет к лесу. Идет быстро. К Мутной, к Витьке. Одного он пока не знает. Ночью, пока он лежал в камере, к его соседу, Лёхе Каминскому, пришел человек. Лёха тоже афганец. Одна ротация. Одна дорога от Кабула до Термеза. Одна фляга на двоих у Арыка. Лёха сейчас пьет. Уже 2-й год. С тех пор, как ушла жена. С тех пор, как встал веспромхоз. С тех пор, как долги пошли по кругу. Человек пришел к Лёхе с бутылкой и с деньгами. «Тебе 200 000 за адрес». «За чей?» «За зимовье Ковалева на Мутной. Ты знаешь, он возил тебя туда в прошлом году». Лёха посидел, помолчал, потом взял деньги и назвал. Он не сразу понял, что натворил. Понял только к утру, когда протрезвел. Когда увидел, на столе пустая бутылка, в кармане пачка денег. И тошнота внутри, которую водка уже не берет. Он сидел на табуретке, смотрел в стену. Каждый, кто хоть раз сдал друга из-за долгов, знает этот час. Час после. Когда деньги еще в кармане, а живого человека внутри уже нет. А в это время по старой дороге от Нижнеречья к Мутной шли 2 с автоматами. И один впереди с рацией. Мутная, изба у речки. Ночь после ареста Ковалева. Витька не спит, лежит на нарах, в темноте. Обрез рядом, холодный, тяжелый. Он держит руку на прикладе, как учил отец. За окном ветер, скрипит пихта. Где-то ухает сова. Раз, другой, и в 3-й раз ухает уже не так. Витька приподнимается, слушает. Сова 3 раза подряд не ухает. Сова ухнет и замолчит, а 3 подряд – это уже не сова, это человек. Он соскальзывает с нар, тихо, босиком. Кроссовки в одной руке, обрез в другой. Подходит к окну, но не вплотную. Смотрит сбоку, как учил Ковалев. Луна выходит из-за тучи. На поляне отблеск металла, короткого, черного. АКСУ. 1 человек. 2. Ковалев успевает. Дверь открывается тихо. Ковалев на пороге. Палец у губ. Витька замирает. Ковалев подходит к нарам. Тенью. Молча берет мешок. Сует Витьке в руки кроссовки. Кивает на окошко у задней стены. Там крышка.
Лаз в подпол. Через подпол – выход к речке. Черный ход. Ковалев сделал его еще позапрошлым летом, на всякий случай. Спускаются. Ход низкий, ползком. Витька ползет первым. Ковалев за ним. Обрез Ковалев держит перед собой, обеими руками. 15 метров. 20. Выход под корнями старого кедра. Прямо у воды. Вылезают. Ковалев снова прикладывает палец к губам. Показывает туда. Вдоль берега. Вверх по речке. Идут. За спиной тишина. Потом треск двери. Крик. «Пусто!» «Как это пусто? Вон нары! Они здесь сегодня не спали!» Одеяло холодное. «Не может быть!» Каминский сказал «здесь». Каминский по пьяни сказал. Ковалев на реке, он знает. По следу пошел. Голоса далеко. Витька идет, стараясь не наступать на ветки. Ковалев показывает, куда ставить ногу. Идут долго, больше часа. Речка мутная делает поворот, впадает в ману. Здесь мана узкая, метров 15. Через нее старая переправа. 3 бревна, тесаные, со скобами. Ковалев останавливается, дышит ровно. Витька сбивчиво. Волчья тропа на той стороне, к стойбищу Ивенков, оттуда на трассу, к прокурору. К тому же самому? К другому. Я уже понимаю, к какому. Витька молчит. «Дядь Андрей, сколько их?» 2. По следу видел 2, с автоматами. Молодые, городские. А почему не больше? Больше не справится. Тайга не двор. Больше 3 в цепочку уже толпа, а толпа шумит. Барин это знает. Ковалев долго смотрит на переправу. «На бревне они нас снимут. Если пойдем вдвоем, срежут 2 очередями». «И что?» «Ты пойдешь один, первым. Перейдешь, ляжешь за камнями. Метров 40. Там серый валун, видишь?» «Вижу». «Я останусь. Будем встречать их по одному. Тропа узкая. Пойдут по одному». Витька мотает головой. «Не пойду один». Ковалев крепко берет его за плечо. «Витя, пойдешь. Не ради меня, ради матери. Кассету нужно довести. Ты один знаешь, где половиться. Слышишь?» «Слышу». «Иди». Витька идет. Один, по бревну. Оно мокрое, скользкое. Внизу шумит мана. Темное, быстрое. Он ставит одну ногу, потом другую. Вниз не смотрит. Переходит. Падает за валун. Обрез рядом. Курки взведены, как показывал. Ковалев ждет минут 10. Сам по бревну не идет. Уходит выше по берегу. Тише. Метров на 50. He knows they won't go onto the log right away. First they'll send one man ahead to scout. He lies down in the fir thicket, presses himself to the ground, breathes through his sleeve, waits. 15 minutes. 20. 25. Kovalyov hears them before he sees them. Not footsteps. Breathing. City men. They don't know how to stay quiet. The first one comes out to the crossing, submachine gun at the ready. From behind the boulder, Vitka sees he's young, 20 years old, maybe less. A birthmark on his cheek. Red, like a berry. A wild strawberry. Vitka knows that face. The one who shot the calf in the head. The one who's Pahomov's son-in-law. Son, not son-in-law. Vitka gets mixed up, but who cares? This isn't the time. The young one steps onto the log, carefully. Kovalyov doesn't shoot yet. He waits for the second one. The second comes out a minute later, bigger, older, also carrying a submachine gun. Not Kostil, someone else. Not one of the men Vitka took down. So they brought in new people from the regional center. The young one is already halfway across the log. Kovalyov raises the sawed-off shotgun. One shell, another in the barrel. That's all he has. An IZH double barrel. He waits until the young one is on the lock and the older one is on the bank on the far side. Shot. The young one falls into the water. Didn't even cry out. The mana carries him away. The older one drops down behind a snag, presses himself flat, returns fire. A burst. A KS-74U. Bullets tear through the fir thicket. Needles fly. Kovalyov has already rolled away. Different position. Behind another trunk. Silence. Kovalyov, don't be stupid. The older man's voice, hoarse. I hear you. Leave. I'm not after you. I'm after the kid. You won't get the kid. Don't drag this out. I will. Kovalyov says nothing. Counts.
The older one has a magazine. 30 rounds minus that short burst. About 25 left. Kovalyov himself has one in the barrel, and the knife. Bad. He moves sideways, through the fir thicket, quietly, circles around on the flank. The older one is still behind the snag, watching the crossing, waiting to see who moves first. Kovalyov is already behind him, 10 paces away, behind the cedar. He doesn't shoot. One shell, a miss, means the end. He takes the knife off his belt, a finish knife, heavy, with a fuller. Moves in, 5 steps, 3, 1. The older one senses it, turns around. The submachine gun is already at his chest. Kovalyov jumps, not at the chest, at the hand. The knife into the wrist. The older one screams. The submachine gun jerks downward, a burst, into the ground. Kovalyov throws him down with all his weight, pins him with his knee, fist, once, twice, to the temple. The older one goes limp. Kovalyov sits down, breathes, soaked through. The submachine gun, into the river, off the bank. Splash. No handcuffs. There's a piece of nylon rope in the sack. Kovalyov ties the older man's hands, legs, a gag from the man's own cap, to a tree, back against it. The older one comes to, looks at him. "You know me." Kovalyov crouches down. "I know you. You're not local. You're from the regional center."
You're connected with the office. With who? With the man in gray, the one who came to my cell at night. I heard you talking about him on the radio, even before Mutnaya. Curator. I remembered it. He says nothing, just looks. Has Barin been with the curator long? Go to hell. Long? Since 91. Kovalyov stands up. Спасибо. За тобой придут мужики. А может, волки. Как повезет. Он идет к бревну, дважды свистит, коротко. Из-за валуна выходит Витька, мокрый, дрожит, в руках обрез. «Дядь Андрей, живой». «Живой, пошли». Они оба переходят реку, по бревну, уходят по волчьей тропе, в сторону Ивенкийского стойбища. Идут молча, долго. Витька будто на автомате. Через час Ковалев останавливается, достает из-за пазухи алюминиевую флягу, помятую, отвинчивает крышку, пьет, потом протягивает Витьке. «Пей». Витька пьет. Вода отдает железом и еще чем-то, теплым. «Спирт?» «Каплю. Хватит. Ты замерз». Витька сидит, смотрит на реку. Далеко-далеко вода несет что-то темное, уже не разглядеть. Он не спрашивает, что это, он и так знает. Впервые в жизни он видел, как человек убивает человека. Ковалев убил Нуладова с родимым пятном, сына Пахомова, начальника райотдела. Витька думает, что должен что-то почувствовать. Ужас, тошноту, жалость. Но он не чувствует ничего, и это пугает его больше всего. Ковалев смотрит на него, понимает. Не думай об этом сейчас, потом, дома. А будет дом? Будет. Молчат. Если история вас пока держит, поставьте лайк. Не ради алгоритма, ради мужиков, которых уже не спросишь. Идут дальше. К вечеру выходят к стойбищу. 3 чума, 1 собака. В воздухе пахнет копченой рыбой. Старый венг, Никифор, узнает Ковалева. Кивает, без слов. Отводит в дальний чум, дает горячей похлебки. Оленье одеяло. Витька засыпает раньше, чем успевает лечь. Обрез рядом. А в это время далеко, за 3-м хребтом. В охотхозяйстве тайга плюс, в большом деревянном доме с камином. Сидит человек, крупный. Ему за 50. Седой ежик, толстые пальцы. На безымянном – печатка. Виктор Николаевич Барин, директор охотхозяйства, депутат облсовета, хозяин 3 магазинов в области, 2 складов, 1 базы. Перед ним на столе телефон. Не городской, не обычный. Тяжелая коробка с антенной, спутниковая связь. Такие в этой стране есть у 15 человек, может, у 20. Он поднимает трубку, крутит диск, долго ждет. Наконец отвечает голос. Спокойный, ровный. «Слушаю. Иван Аркадьевич, у нас проблема. Излагайте. Мальчишка ушел. Лесник с ним. Пленка неполная. Полкассеты у нас. Второй половины нет. Пауза. Спокойная, долгая. Значит, зачищаем шире. По какой линии? По вашей и по моей. Куратор в курсе. Работаем». Барин кладет трубку, смотрит в огонь. За окном тайга, темная, своя. Он не спешит, у него есть время. И у него есть куратор. Кедровка. Тоже утро. Мария Соломина возвращается домой из райотдела. Пешком. 30 километров она проехала на попутном молоковозе.
Остальное на своих двоих. Она пришла в милицию с шапкой сына, а ушла без ответа. Ей сказали только одно. Мальчишка сбежал к бабке, в Артемовск. Нам по телефону сообщили. Успокойтесь. Мать не поверила ни одному слову. Никакой бабки в Артемовске нет. Бабка умерла еще в 89-м. Об этом в поселке знают все, кроме них. Она вошла к себе во двор, открыла калитку. Двор на месте, дом на месте, а сарая нет. На месте сарая черное пятно, головешки. Из бревен еще тянется дым, крыша рухнула. Внутри все, что осталось от майки, от коровы. Обугленная туша. Мать садится на землю, не плачет, просто смотрит. Приходит похомиха, молча, садится рядом. Ночью загорелась. К утру приехали пожарные из райцентра. Не торопились. Как вышло. Списали на проводку. У тебя же лампочка в сарае была. Мол, от нее. Не было там лампочки. Знаю. Молчат. Мария Соломина сидит на черной земле. Держит в руках шапку. Ту самую. Ее отдали в райотделе. За ненадобностью. Каждый, кто в этой стране терял то немногое, что нажил своими руками, знает эту минуту. Когда стоишь перед пеплом. Когда знаешь, кто поджег. Когда знаешь, что не докажешь. И знаешь еще одно, что это только начало, что дальше будет хуже, что одной коровой тебе просто показали первый взнос. Похомиха берет ее за плечо. «Мань, уезжай из поселка, к свекрови в Абакан, сегодня же. Я Витьку жду. Твой Витька у Ковалева, живой, дома не жди. Придет, я скажу куда». Мать медленно кивает. Она уже знает, в поселке верить можно двоим – Похомихе и Ковалеву. Все остальное под вопросом. Тем же утром областной центр, Красноярск, кабинет, 5-й этаж старого административного здания на проспекте Мира. На двери никаких табличек. Внутри стол, кресло, сейф и человек в сером костюме. Сергей Аркадьевич, 47 лет, ничем не примечательное лицо. Русые, аккуратно уложенные волосы. Такое лицо не запоминается. В этом и состоит его работа – не запоминаться. Он выпил кофе, открыл папку. В папке 3 фотографии. Первая – Ковалев. Фото из военкомата. Молодой, коротко стриженный, в форме БДВ. Вторая – Витька. Школьная фотография. Из личного дела. Третья – Мария Соломина. Из паспортного стола. Сергей Аркадьевич смотрит на первую фотографию. Он знает о Ковалеве больше, чем знает сам Ковалев. Он знает, что в 86-м под Чирикаром тот вытащил из-под огня 3 раненых, что у него 2 награды, что после Афгана его звали в спецназ ГРУ, но он ушел в тайгу, лесником. Такие люди – золото, если их правильно поставить. И такие люди – беда, если поставить не получается. Он поднимает трубку. Внутренняя линия. «Соедини с барином». Через минуту – щелчок. «Виктор Николаевич, Сергей Аркадьевич, меняем задачу. По Ковалеву. Берем живым. Уговариваем». «Уговариваем на что?» «Перетянуть на нашу сторону. Он нужен нам в тайге, своим человеком, а не помехой». «А если не согласится?» «Тогда обрубаем. Но сначала попробуйте по-хорошему, через мать пацана». «Уже работаем». «Знаю». Сарай – это первый шаг. Второй я вам подскажу. Понял. Трубки положили. Сергей Аркадьевич, закрывая папку, смотрит в окно. А за окном Енисей. Темный, широкий. He's not a sadist. He's a manager. He has a plan. He has a handler in Moscow. And he has a subordinate. Виктор Николаевич Барин. Former cop. Put on the payroll back in 89. Ковалев is useful to him as an operator in the taiga. Someone has to cover the elk on the ground. Someone the beast trusts, and the law doesn't. You won't find anyone better than a paratrooper. They'll give him a cut. They'll give him a bigger cordon. They'll give his mother benefits. Refusing isn't manly. That's what Sergei Arkadyevich thinks. He hasn't read Kovalev. Back to Kovalev. A Novenki camp. Morning of the next day. Nikifor feeds them hot fish soup. Dried fish, onion, salt. Nikifor is a Novenki in his 70s. Face like bark. Eyes narrow, calm. 2 of them. No more came. I know. More will come. I know. Nikifor looks at Vitka. The boy is brave. The boy's grown up beyond his years in 2 days. It's always like that. The taiga either breaks you or raises you. Vitka eats in silence. Kovalyov pulls an old notebook from his kit bag. Military commissariat issue.
flips through it, looks at two names, underlined. Nikolai Kotov, nickname Cat, medic. One dog tag shared between him and Kovalyov in a Kabul hospital. Lives in Divnogorsk, works at the hydroelectric station, shift electrician. Pyotr Gunya, a PC driver mechanic, a man from Partizanskoye, keeps an apiary, drinks little, hasn't forgotten. Kovalyov looks at Nikifor. Nikifor, I need to get to Divnogorsk and to Partizanskoye, fast. By water, won't work. By road, they're waiting. I know a route, across the ridge, 2 days by reindeer. You'll keep the boy with you, hide him. Say he's a shaman's son from Bekit. I'll say it. Vitka raises his head. Uncle Andrei, you'll go alone. Alone.
It has to be that way. Alone is quieter. And Mom? They're watching your mother. We can't go to her now. In a day or two, we'll come with people. We'll take her. Hide her in Divnogorsk with Cat. Vitka is silent, looks into his bowl. Kovalyov comes over, puts a hand on his shoulder. Listen to Nikifor, the way you listen to me. Understood? Understood. Kovalyov leaves an hour later, with Nikifor's son, on 2 reindeer across the ridge. Let's skip 2 days. Kovalyov rides, the boy waits. Divnogorsk, 1-room apartment, 5th floor. Nikolai Kotov opens the door, doesn't recognize him at once. Then he does. Kovalyov? Cat. They embrace, hard, in silence. They go inside. On the table, an opened bottle. Not vodka, Cahors. Cat drinks a little at a time, medically, or out of habit, who knows. Kovalyov tells him everything, in half an hour. No details. Cat listens without interrupting. Then he speaks. Barin, I know the name. Their vehicles come through our road at the station, with meat, from the taiga. With meat? With meat, and not just meat, antlers too. Velvet antlers, bear bile. They've got a whole operation there, as good as a meat-packing plant. Where does it go? Part goes for export, to China, through Irkutsk. Part goes to Moscow, by air, from the military airfield, the one beyond the 3rd ridge. Kovalyov nods slowly. Something clicks into place in his head. Will you come with me? I will. What for? For you. For Kabul. For what's left of us in this country. Do you have weapons? A carbine, and my father's TT pistol. I didn't hand it over in '91. That'll do. They drive to Partizanskoye, to Gunya. Gunya meets them at the gate. A head shorter than Kovalyov, solidly built, hands like a bear's. He listens, nods. I'm in. The apiary? The apiary can wait. I'll tell the men I went to Khakassia for bees. Weapons. An SKS and a carbine. A double-barreled shotgun. Plenty of ammo. Kovalyov looks at both of them, breathes. For the first time in a week, it's not just his 2 hands against the whole region. Now there are 3 of them. That changes everything. Gunya takes a folded newspaper from his pocket. Krasnoyarski Rabochi. Fresh issue. On the 3rd page there's a note. Short, dense. In the Kedrovsky district, former serviceman A.S. Kaminsky was detained for possession of narcotic substances. During the search, 120 grams of a substance believed to be heroin were found. A criminal case has been opened. Kovalyov reads it, puts the newspaper on the table. Lyoha. You know him? My neighbor, Afghanistan veteran. From the same company as me and Kot. Kovalyov is silent for a long time. Then he speaks quietly. So first they framed him, then they gave him money. Then they bought the address. And then they locked him up, so he wouldn't be able to tell anyone. Kot looks at the table. Classic. Classic. Kovalyov stands up, walks to the window, looks at the Yenisei, at the dam. Now he understands. Lyocha didn't give him up out of malice. Lyocha was handed to him as part of the calculation. They planted powder on him, put him on the hook, gave him a choice, prison or the address. He took the money. He chose the address. He didn't choose against Kovalyov. He chose life. Kovalyov does not excuse Lyocha. Kovalyov simply understands. It wasn't Lyocha who betrayed him. It was the system that bought him out, piece by piece, in a single day. He turns around. We get ready. We go to Kедровка. For my mother. Then for the boy. Then for Barin. For Barin? For Barin. And for the one above him. Do you understand who's above him? I do. Now I do. They are silent. Kovalyov takes a flask from the table, his own, aluminum, dented, unscrews it, drinks, hands it to Kot. Kot drinks, hands it to Gunya. Gunya drinks. That's how they used to do it in Kandahar, before heading out. One gulp each, from one flask. Shared by three. An hour later they set out, in Gunya's Niva, with weapons under the backseat. They drive into the night, through Krasnoyarsk, avoiding the district centers. By morning, they are already more than 100 kilometers from Kedrovka. Kovalyov is at the wheel, silent. He thinks about Vitька, about his mother, about Lyocha, about the young man with the birthmark whom the mana carried away, about the senior lieutenant tied to a tree, whether he is still alive, and about what he still does not know. That on this very same morning, in an office on the 5th floor of the administrative building, Sergei Arkadyevich picks up the phone and says a single phrase, after which everything will go wrong. But what comes next is the strangest part. The camp. The same day. Closer to evening, Vitька sits by the chum, whittling a stick. Nikiforov's knife. Curved. Sharp. He planes the wood because his hands have to stay busy. Otherwise, they start to shake. 3 days without his mother. 3 days without Kovalyov. He eats, sleeps, walks down to the river for water, helps Nikifor clean the nets. He says nothing. Nikifor doesn't try to make him talk. He knows the boy will speak when he's ready. Or he won't. The taiga is patient. Toward evening, the dogs start barking. Short, sharp yaps. That means it's one of their own. 4 figures come over the pass. 3 young evenks and an old man, bent over, leaning on a stick. Nikifor gets up, walks out to meet them. They embrace for a long time, in silence. The old man comes up to the chum, sits down on a log, looks at Vitька. You're Solomon's son? Yes. Russian Solomon? Russian. Your father was Nikolai? Nikolai. He was killed. I know. The old man is silent for a long time. Then he takes out his pipe, packs it. Nikifor's son offers him a light. My name is Derke Osharov. I'm 73. Hello. I knew your grandfather, Ivan Solomon. We fought together. 2nd Belarusian Front. Infantry. Vitька lowers the knife, looks at him. Grandpa never told me. Your grandfather never told anyone. He came back from the war a different man. A lot of men did. He died in 78. I know. They told me back then. They fall silent. Derke looks into the fire. Your father, Nikolai, came to see me. In 89. Asked about your grandfather. I told him everything I remembered. And then? Then he died on the drilling rig. I know that too. Derke pulls a bundle from inside his coat. It's wrapped in oiled leather. He unties it. Inside is a folded sheet of paper, yellowed, stiff with age. Your grandfather left this behind. 1947, after the war. We traveled together, through these places. He used to draw. He unfolds it. Vitька sees a map, hand-drawn, in ink, pen nib, carefully done, with arrows, with notes. Bear Pits Tract, Blind Burn Tract, Three Springs Tract, Solomon's Cabin, Bypass Trail, passage through the rock. And more than that, crosses, dotted lines, marks that would make sense only to someone who had walked there. Your grandfather knew this corner better than anyone. He didn't give me the map as a gift. He left it with me, just in case. As he said, just in case they came not for the beast, but for people. Witька stares at it for a long time. Why now? Because now they've come not for the beast, but for people. Nikifor nods, walks over to the other chum, comes back with a cloth bundle, unwraps it. Inside are 2 carbines, old ones, Mosin rifles, oiled, bayonets sawn off. My father hid them since 1950, from the commission. We have ammunition, not much. Witька looks at all of it and suddenly understands. These people are not protectors. They are not fighting a war. They are not mercenaries. They have their own taiga, their own life. And they are stepping onto his side not because of any deal, but because of memory. Because of the memory of his grandfather, of the front, of a Russian peasant who in 1947 shared his ration with them and drew a map of the tracts. Every people know this moment, when an old man puts on the table what he has kept for half a century, not for bargaining, not for money, because someone of his own promised to return it. And that someone died long ago. But the promise lives and is passed on further, through the earth, through blood, through 50 years of silence. Witька lowers his head, not because he is ashamed, but because it is too early to give thanks. Kovalyov returns by morning. He arrives in a Niva, with Kot and Gunya. Witьka's mother is with them, in the back seat, alive, thin. Her eyes are red, but she is unharmed. Witьka rushes to her. His mother embraces him, holds him for a long time, in silence. Then she pulls back, looks at him. The shed burned down, Witya. And Maika. I know, Mom. Uncle Andrei told me. Only the cap is left. Yours, mine.
Pachomicha gave it back. She takes it out of her pocket, puts it into Witьka's hands. Wear it. Don't lose it again. Kovalyov looks at the map that was brought out of the chum, unfolds it, looks for a long time, runs his finger along the outline. Ivan Solomin, your grandfather. Not the one who carved wooden spoons? That one. I saw him when I was a child. My father used to order hunting scrapers from him. Witьka is silent. Every name in this corner of the taiga is in its place. A generation apart, but still in its place. Kovalyov turns to Gunya and Kot. This is Barin's whole layout. The tracts, the passages. We have a map they do not. And the abattis? And the abattis. And the trails. And the passage in the rock, there, by the 3 springs. Through it you can get right into the heart of the hunting grounds, from the rear. Gunya bends over, looks. By your estimate, how many men does Barin have? According to Kot's reports, 15 men there permanently. Plus base security, another 5. Plus the police at a phone call. Plus those who will come from the regional center at a phone call from the handler. 20 active. 20. Kot whistles softly. There are 4 of us. Kovalyov looks at the map. There are 4 of us. And the taiga. No one answers. The mother takes Witька by the hand, leads him into the chum. Derkia follows after them. The men are left their work. The reconnaissance goes on for 3 days. Kovalyov goes alone. Kot covers him from a distant point. Gunya stays with the mother and Witька at Nikifor's. Kovalyov circles the Taiga Plus hunting estate. Watches. Counts. The fence is made of concrete slabs. The gate is iron, spring-loaded. There is 1 tower by the gate. 4 dogs. German shepherds. They are fed by a separate man, a deaf one. Kovalyov remembers this. Kovalyov makes a plan. In his head. He writes nothing on paper. Not a line. On the 3rd day, he returns in the Niva to the dirt road by the encampment. Through the small pass.
At the pass, there is a car, a black Volga with regional plates. A man gets out of the car in a grey raincoat, bareheaded. Andrei Sergeyevich, shall we sit down? Kovalyov stops, looks. Alone? Alone. Check if you like. Kovalyov walks around the Volga, looks inside. No one in the back seat. In the trunk, a probe, a shovel, a canister. Ordinary enough. He gets into the car. Beside him, the man in grey quietly places a PM on the dashboard. Open, without a magazine. A sign of trust. Kovalyov nods. He doesn't take his hand off his belt. There's a knife there. I'm listening. The man in grey places his hands on the steering wheel, calmly. My name is Sergei Arkadyevich. I'm from the regional directorate. I won't say which one. You'll understand. I understand. I know everything about you. Kabul, Charikar, 3 wounded, the helicopter that only came 6 hours later. I know who you are. You do. Kovalyov, we need you. Silence. The engine idles. We don't need Barin. Barin is a means to an end. He's 48. In 5 years, someone else will replace him. What we need is the taiga. It's vast. There are a lot of resources in it. We'll take those resources with you or without you. The only difference is the price. Kovalyov looks out the window. Snow outside. The first of the year. It's been falling since morning. What are you offering? Work. For the region, not for Barin. He wronged you. We'll forget about him. We'll give you his position. Director of the hunting enterprise. Officially. With a stamp. With a salary. With an apartment in Krasnoyarsk. The boy's mother gets a survivor's pension. The boy gets schooling in Krasnoyarsk. At our expense. In exchange? In exchange, quiet executions according to our lists. Who, where, when. We give you the lists, you make sure the people on them don't get in the way anymore. The taiga is yours. The tools are yours.
We're above it all. How many people are on the lists? It varies, year to year. On average, 3 or 4 per quarter. People. People. Bad people. Obstructive people. We don't need any other kind. And how do I know they're bad? You don't. We tell you. You believe us. Like before. Like in Kandahar. Kovalyov turns his head, looks at Sergei Arkadyevich for a long time. In Kandahar, it was the political officer who told me. We're that same political officer, just in a different era. Silence. Kovalyov lowers his hand, slowly. He takes the PM from the dashboard, turns it in his fingers, pulls a magazine from his jacket pocket, the one Sergei Arkadyevich had left in the car beforehand, just in case. Kovalyov had noticed it in the glove compartment when he got in. He inserts the magazine, racks the slide. Sergei Arkadyevich doesn't move. He watches. Kovalyov opens the door, gets out. He walks off to the side, toward the snowbank at the roadside. He empties the magazine, 1 round at a time, into the snow. 8 clicks. He places the empty PM on the hood of the Volga. He leans toward the window. Tell your superiors this. Let them give the lists to someone else. I already have a list. My own. And who's on it? The ones who are on your lists. Sergei Arkadyevich looks at him for a long time, in silence, without malice, without a smile. A pity. We could have worked well together. No, we couldn't have. Then you have only yourself to blame. Kovalyov nods, turns around, walks to his Niva, doesn't look back. The Volga turns around slowly, heads downhill toward the highway. Kovalyov stands alone on the pass. Snow flies into his face, a duffel bag on his shoulder, a dented flask inside his coat. In his head, the map of Grandfather Solomon. He knows. Today he chose not a side. He chose only who he is against. Night, November the 2nd.
The cold came to the taiga a week early, -28.
Wind from the northwest. A blizzard. 4 men move along the fence of the hunting estate Taiga Plus, through the snow, knee-deep, in silence. In front is Kovalyov. Behind him, Derche. The old man is holding up. He's moving on 4 skis, like in 47. Behind Derche, Gunia with the SKS. Bringing up the rear is Kot, with a carbine and the medical satchel slung over his shoulder. All of them are wearing white camouflage smocks. Nikiforov's wife sewed them from an old bedsheet. Vitka is with his mother at the camp, under the protection of Nikiforov's son. Kovalyov took the original film with him. He stitched it into the lining of his quilted jacket with a needle. Big stitches. Like before, behind the breast pocket of his jacket. They had already taken half of it from under the floorboard of the winter hut 2 days earlier. According to the plan, they go in from the rear, through that same passage in the rock, the one on the grandfather's map. The passage by the 3 springs, Kovalyov points with his finger. Everyone drops down. He alone moves forward, toward the tower, through the snow, crawling. There is a sentry in the tower, young, smoking. The red glow can be seen from 100 meters away. Kovalyov comes in from downwind. The blizzard is loud. It covers the sound. He climbs the iron ladder, quietly. The steps creak. The blizzard covers that too. The sentry turns around a second before. That second is not enough. Kovalyov strikes upward with his finish knife, into the throat, through the scarf. The sentry crumples. Kovalyov catches him, lays him down on the floor of the tower, takes the AKM, a full magazine, and 2 more in the pouch. Kovalyov whistles twice. After a pause, a 3rd time. Below, 3 shadows climb up, through the gate. Kovalyov has already opened the bolt from the inside. The dogs. The dogs can't be heard. Gunya signals. There, around the corner. They go to look. By the feeding trough, 4 shepherds, sleeping, not moving. Dercha shakes his head, shows the syringe in his hand. Nikiforov's drug, from the reindeer medicine kits. The deaf man who fed the dogs put them to sleep 3 hours earlier. Kovalyov paid him for it 2 weeks ago. Before the recruitment meeting with the men in grey, Kovalyov always works ahead. Inside the yard there are 3 houses. The master's house is the far one. The guard's house is the middle one. The utility block is closer to the gate. By calculation, 8 men. In the utility block, 2. In the guard's house, 4. In the master's house, 2. Kovalyov divides them up. Kot, you and Derche on the guards. The house with the green door. Gunya, with me, to the master. What about the utility block? We leave the utility block. The 2 there are cooks. They won't interfere. Sleeping. They cross the yard, bent low, in their own tracks. At the guard's house, Kot pulls the handle, locked from the inside. Derche goes around the end, smashes the window with the rifle butt, 1 short blow, throws a bottle of gasoline inside, with a rag, burning. Inside, flames erupt, screams. The door flies open. The first man runs out, in his underwear, with an automatic rifle. Kot fires point blank. 1, then another. The second falls in the doorway. The third fires a burst from the window. Derche throws himself into the snow, makes it in time. The cat rounds the corner. From there, with 2 shots, he takes out the third. The fourth gives up. He comes out with his hands raised, barefoot, in the snow, shivering. Don't shoot! Don't shoot! I'm a conscript! They made me! The cat looks at him. Lie down. Hands behind your head. He lies down. Derche ties him up with his own belt. On the other side are Kovalyov and Gunya, heading for Barin's house. 2 guards. One is asleep in the entryway. The other is in the hallway by the bedroom door. Kovalyov goes in through the window, from the roof. Gunya through the door. They hear shots by the guard's house. That means they have seconds to react. The one sleeping in the entryway jumps up with a pistol. Gunya fires from the hip. SKS. A heavy boom. The second one from the hallway already has an assault rifle. An AKS-74U. Familiar. He fires from behind the door, without aiming, in a burst. Gunya presses himself against the doorframe, and then it ricochets off it. The bullet goes through the thin partition. It hits Gunya, in the stomach. Gunya sinks down, silently.
He doesn't cry out. Kovalyov has already jumped down from the window, behind the shooter's back. A finished knife. Not a shot. The shooter falls. Kovalyov heads for the bedroom, kicks the door open. Barin is on the bed, half asleep. Big man, in a tank top. He grabs for a pistol under the pillow. He doesn't make it. Kovalyov smashes him with the rifle stock, on the hand. You can hear the bone. Barin screams. The pistol flies to the floor.
Kovalyov plants a knee on his chest. Viktor Nikolaevich, to hell with you. Take your belt off your trousers. With your right hand, your left is broken.
Barin looks at him, understands they won't kill him. Not yet. He takes it off. Kovalyov ties his hands behind his back with his own belt, gold buckle, monogram VNB. He drags him outside. On the porch is Gunya, leaning against the wall, his quilted jacket soaked in blood. A lot of blood. The cat runs over. Gunya. Cat. Hang on, Gunya, hang on. We'll open it up, we'll take a look. The cat rips off the quilted jacket, looks. The bullet entered the abdomen, below the navel. He can't see an exit wound. The cat freezes for a second. 1 second. Then he pulls himself together. Fire, quick, and water. Derche is already blowing on a fire in the snow, right by the wall, shielded it from the wind with fir branches. They lay Gunya on a ground sheet near the fire. The cat works in silence. Promedol, tampons, bandage.
Gunya looks at the sky, at the snow falling into his face.
Cat, quiet, don't talk, breathe shallow. Cat, my mother, in Kemerovo, 8th of March Street, house 12. I know, be quiet. My medal, for Kabul, it's in her dresser, you'll give it to her. The cat doesn't answer. He works. His hands are covered in blood up to the elbows. It doesn't help. Kovalyov stands over them. He's seated Barin in the snow nearby, facing them. Let him watch. Barin, look, this is the price for you. Barin says nothing, looks into the snow. Gunya wheezes, bubbles at the mouth. Bad. Cat. Yeah. And my apiary. I'll tell the guys, they'll take it. Don't take it, let it stand. Let wild bees come and gather honey for the taiga. The cat nods without speaking. Gunya looks at Kovalyov for a long time. Andrei, I'm here. Did we do well? We did well, brother. It wasn't for nothing. Not for nothing. Gunya closes his eyes, breathes every other breath, then less often. Then he stops breathing. The cat sits on his lap in the snow, looking into his face. The blizzard keeps covering everything. Derke plants Gunya's SKS rifle in the snow in front of him, barrel up, like in war, the way they set it for those who are taken out of the ranks first. Kovalyov takes off his hat, stands there. The cat gets up, silently. No one says a word. The blizzard speaks for everyone. People say goodbye to their own in different ways, but in the taiga, in a blizzard, by a fire burning in the snow, there is one farewell for all. You stand there, you take off your hat, you understand. Now, you must live for him. You must carry it through to the end. Otherwise, he died for nothing, and that, otherwise, does not happen. Kovalyov puts his hat back on, turns to Barin. Get up. Move. Barin gets up, walks, barefoot through the snow. He's in a t-shirt and underwear, barefoot. Kovalyov gives him neither boots nor a jacket. Won't I freeze? You'll make it to the Niva.
Half a kilometer. You won't freeze.
They walk. The cat and Derke carry Gunya on a shelter half. To the car. Kovalyov goes around Barin's house alone. In the study, a safe, open. Inside, folders, notebooks, that same satellite phone. Kovalyov shakes the contents into a sack. Everything. The satellite phone too. In the basement, what the cat saw from the hydroelectric station. Sacks of antlers, hides, little vials of bear bile, wrapped in an Izvestia newspaper. Kovalyov does not touch it. He takes only the papers and the phone. He comes out. At the gate, the cat. Gunya is already in the back of the Niva, covered with the shelter half. Barin is tied up, lying on his side in the snow by the car, face down, alive, shivering. The cat looks at Kovalyov. What next? Next, to the prosecutor, the young one, from Moscow. The one I was waiting for by the prosecutor's office and didn't reach. And if he's with them too? Then to Krasnoyarski Рабочий, to Ksenia Nikolaevna Werner.
The one the kid would have gone to if they'd killed me. With both tapes? Both. And Barin's papers. The cat is silent, looks at the snow. And the handler? The handler later. The tape now. Derka puts on his skis, silently leaves along his own trail. To the camp, to Vitka, to his mother. The blizzard quickly buries his tracks behind him. Kovalyov gets behind the wheel. Barin in the back seat. Gunya in the rear under the shelter half. The cat beside the driver. The engine takes a long time to start. Frost. Kovalyov waits, does not fuss. The engine catches, runs evenly. The Niva turns around, drives away from the gate, across the yard, across the snowed-over tracks. Kovalyov drives slowly, looks ahead. He thinks about Vitka, about the mother, about Gunya, whose body lies behind, about the cat, who is silent and looks out the window, about Derke, who walks off into the blizzard as if nothing had happened, about old man Solomin, whose map helped them come in from the rear. He thinks about the film. It's on his chest, both halves sewn in. The padded jacket feels them like a second heart. He does not think yet about what waits ahead. And ahead, Krasnoyarsk. And the man in a grey suit, who already knows that the hunting estate Taiga Plus has burned down, that Viktor Nikolaevich Barin has disappeared. Что кассета уже в пути, в синей Ниве, с номерами от УАЗа и с 4 пассажирами. Один из них уже мертв. Красноярск. Второй день после штурма. Нива стоит во дворе редакции Красноярского рабочего. Двор весь в снегу. Ковалев поднимается на 2-й этаж. Один. Кот остался в машине. С Бариным. С Гуней под плащ-палаткой. Кабинет с табличкой «Отдел писем». За столом сидит женщина. 42 года. Волосы темные, короткие. На столе пепельница. Полная. «Ксения Николаевна Вернер?» «Да. Я от Андрея Ковалева. Точнее, я и есть Ковалев». Она поднимает голову, смотрит. «Отец говорил о вас». «Я знаю. Мы служили с ним в Кабуле. Он умер в 89-м. От сердца». «Знаю». Молчат. «Что вы привезли?» Ковалев кладет на стол кассету. Одну, уже склеенную из 2 половин. Полдня провозились с ножницами и скотчем в гараже у кота. Рядом папку с бумагами Барина, финансовыми, списками поставок, списком фамилий с суммами и маленький желтый блокнот. Списки телефонов, спутниковый номер. Трижды повторяется одна и та же последовательность цифр. Ковалев уже знает. Это номер куратора. Ксения Николаевна открывает папку, читает 1-ю страницу, 2-ю, закрывает. «Ковалев, вы понимаете, что это?» «Понимаю. Здесь не только браконьерство, здесь экспорт, здесь фамилии из областной администрации, здесь уже федеральный уровень». «Знаю. В Красноярске это не напечатают». «Не напечатают, поэтому и не в Красноярске». Она смотрит внимательно. «А где?» «В Москве. У вас есть знакомые в «Известиях»?» «Есть. Один. Афганец. Мой однокурсник по МГУ. Работает в «Известиях» с 90-го». «Как зовут?» «Дмитрий Мельник. Тоже Кабул. 86-й. Берите его. С ним я сам поговорю по телефону». Ксения Николаевна поднимает трубку. Набирает Москву. 5 цифр. Долго ждет. Наконец отвечают. «Дима, это я. Слушай, прилетай завтра. Дело на 1-ю полосу. Молчи. Просто приезжай». Кладет трубку. Смотрит на Ковалева. «А вы что будете делать?» «У меня в машине Виктор Николаевич Барин, директор охотхозяйства. Живой, связанный. И у меня в машине тело Петра Гуни, моего 2-го товарища. Мы с ним были в Кабуле. Погиб при штурме». Она вздрагивает. «Барин, живой. Живой. Передам прокурору. Молодому, из Москвы, который приехал год назад. Не местному. Иван Юрьевич Демидов. Он.
Ему можно доверять. Проверьте. Уже проверила. По своим каналам. Чистый. Приехал добровольно. После Академии Генеральной прокуратуры. Не из системы. Ковалев кивает. Встает. А Гуню? Похороним у матери. В Кемерово. Кот отвезет. Я не смогу. Почему не сможете? Потому что мне надо в тайгу. К пацану. И к его матери. Они там. Понимаю. Ковалев идет к двери. Ксения Николаевна окликает его. Ковалев, аккуратор. Curator, that's your business now. Yours and Melnik's. I won't make it to the curator. We will. Months passed. November turned into December. December into January. Barin was arrested the day after Kovalev handed him over to Demidov. A case was opened. Quietly. No press. The publication came out in Izvestia in February of 94. 3 full pages. The tape had been transcribed. Names you named. They even printed the satellite number. 2 days later, a second piece came out. This one was already about the curator, about Sergei Arkadьевич, about his correspondence with a man in Moscow. A week later, Sergei Arkadьевич was quietly moved aside. Not to prison. Retirement on health grounds. Pension. A colonel's pension. No trial. Barin went down, by court order, 8 years in a maximum security colony, for organizing large-scale illegal trade.
For illegal weapons possession, for complicity in the murder of Piotr Gunia. As for Khomutov, Pahomov's son and Kostyl, their trial was separate, a year later, quietly, in the district court. Kovalyov did not testify in court. He gave his statement to Demidov at the prosecutor's office, once, 20 pages. And then he went back into the taiga, back to his place, to the forest outpost, the same one, beyond the third stream. Vitya's mother returned to Kedrovka. His stepfather came back from his run in the spring. He understood nothing, only asked where the cow had gone. They told him it had burned. Vitya was sent to finish school in Krasnoyarsk. Ksenia Nikolaevna found him a place at a boarding school for gifted children. Specialization, camera work. Ksenia Nikolaevna remembered the camera. 21 years passed. Autumn, 2014. Kedrovka, Lesnaya Street, house number 8. A white Mitsubishi pulls up to the house. A man gets out of the car.
45 years old. Fair hair, gray at the temples. A jacket with a film studio logo. Viktor Nikolaevich Solomin. Documentary cinematographer. 3 Nika Awards for camera work. Lives in Moscow. Comes to Kedrovka once a year. A teenager gets out of the car. 13 years old. Thin, fair-haired. Ivan Solomin. Vanka. Vitya's son. Named after his great-grandfather. Vitya opens the gate. The house is still standing. The roof has been redone. The porch is new. His mother died in 2007, heart failure. His stepfather, a year later. Vitya doesn't come back for the house. He comes back for the taiga. The two of them walk on, through the settlement, across the field, toward the clearing cut through the forest. Beyond the third stream, a glade, the outpost. A 5-wall log house. The roof has collapsed. The chimney still stands. Kovalyov died in 2013, in the fall, on the 85th anniversary of the lifting of the siege of Leningrad. On the news, they spoke about the siege. In the village, they spoke about Kovalyov, a massive stroke by the woodpile, an axe in his hand. He was buried here, at the edge of the cedar grove, a large wood cross. Nikiforov's son and Kot put it up. By then, Derke had already been gone 5 years. Vitya walks to the cross. Vanka follows him. On the cross, a plaque, plain, metal. Andrei Viktorovich Kovalyov, 1952 to 2013. Airborne trooper, forester, father. Отец, вырезал Витя, своей рукой, ножовкой. Он присаживается на корточки. Ванька рядом. Пап? А, это тот самый, про которого ты снимал фильм? Тот самый, который тебя спас? Да. Молчат. Ветер шумит в кронах. Витя достает из внутреннего кармана флягу, алюминиевую, с вмятиной сбоку. Ту самую. Кот привез ее в Москву весной 14 года, через полгода после похорон. Сказал, Ковалев велел передать. Пацану, Виктору. Витя носит ее с собой. Во все командировки, на все съемки.
на Донбасс.
В Сирию. В Афганистан. Год назад ездил снимать. Ходил по Кабулу с флягой в кармане.
Он отвинчивает крышку, плескает на землю, немного, на корне лиственницы, из которой сделан крест. «За тебя, Андрей!» Прячет крышку, смотрит на сына. «Ваня!» «Что?» «Держи!» Протягивает флягу. Ванька смотрит, не понимает. «Теперь она твоя!» «Пап, но это же его!» «Была его, потом моя, теперь твоя!» Таков порядок. Ванька берет, держит осторожно, вертит в руках, проводит пальцем по вмятине. А это откуда? Осколок. В Афганистане. В 86-м. Вошел ему в живот. Фляга спасла. Ванька молчит, смотрит. Каждый мужчина в этом мире знает эту минуту, когда старшему уже некому передать дальше, когда младший еще не понимает, что именно получил, когда вещь переходит из рук в руки, и вместе с ней переходит история, которую никто не читал, но которую все несут дальше. Ванька прячет флягу за пазуху, как учил отец, как отца учил Ковалев.
Как Ковалева учил тот мужик, у которого он забрал ее из-под убитого товарища в паншире.
Витя встает, смотрит на кедрач. Тайга стоит. Все та же, только чуть подросла. Ниже, у самого края поляны, в землю вросли два камня. Один на том месте, где похоронили Гуню. Его мать умерла через год. Медаль Гуни так и осталась в комоде. Кот забрал ее и повесил у Гуни в изголовье. Второй камень – Никифору. Он умер в 2005-м, в своем чуме. Витя обходит камни, молча. Возвращается к сыну. Если то, что вы сейчас услышали, стоит 1 минуты вашего времени, спросите себя об одном. А что сделали бы вы в том лесу в 14 лет с камерой за пазухой? Ответьте себе, не мне. И подпишитесь, если хотите узнать, чью еще жизнь эта фляга удержала на себе. Витя берет сына за плечо. Идут к машине. По тропе. По той самой, по которой в 93-м шел он сам, за Ковалевым. Ванька идет впереди, Витя следом. За пазухой у сына фляга, теплая от тела. Но эта фляга помнит еще одну войну.
И они в следующий раз. Витя закрывает калитку. Тихо, чтобы не разбудить лес.